Hey everyone, welcome back to Guitars, Whiskey, and Golf in my bourbon tasting room. I haven't done a whiskey review in quite a while. I've done a review on the Old Forester 1910, and I've also done a review of Yellow Spot Irish Whiskey. So if you get a chance, go back and look at those videos if you're interested in those whiskeys and a review of them. But today, I wanted to do a review of Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. So what is Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select as opposed to Old Number 7? So Single Barrel Select is, first of all, 94 proof as opposed to Old Number 7, which is 80 proof. The mash bill, however, is exactly the same. It's 80% corn, it's 12% malted barley, and 8% rye. So this is a really low rye mash bill, which I think does influence the flavor quite a bit in terms of why it is a very sweet whiskey as opposed to something that's really, really spicy and has a lot of rye influence. This is a really corn-forward whiskey, Jack Daniel's. The other obvious thing that influences the flavor quite a bit is the Lincoln County process. Tennessee whiskey, or Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey, is called Tennessee whiskey because, first of all, it's made in Tennessee, but you don't necessarily have to call a whiskey a Tennessee whiskey just because it's made in Tennessee. But it goes through the Lincoln County process, which is a charcoal mellowing process. What Jack Daniel's does is really fascinating. So they take sugar maple, they soak it with 140 proof Jack Daniel's whiskey, so barrel strength Jack Daniel's whiskey. They burn it down to charcoal. Then they process the charcoal into fairly small pebbles, essentially. Then they pack that sugar maple charcoal pebbles into gigantic vats that are 10 feet deep. And they have pipes running across the vats of charcoal, and the whiskey, the distillate, actually at that point it's just clear distillate, drips out of these pipes, literally drip by drip, into the charcoal, and little by little it makes its way down through 10 feet of sugar maple charcoal. So that's what's known as the Lincoln County process, and Jack Daniel's products go through that process. So Jack Daniel's really technically meets the definition of a bourbon. It's made in America. It's at least 51% corn, and it's aged in new American oak barrels. But it's called Tennessee whiskey by Jack Daniel's because, like I said, it's made in Tennessee, and it goes through the Lincoln County process, the charcoal mellowing. So, just before I get into the review of this whiskey, I'm a fan of Jack Daniel's overall flavor profile. So to some degree, that kind of colors my review. As I like Jack Daniel's products. The single barrel proof is incredible. The single barrel proof rye is fantastic. That received really universal accolades as really one of the best ryes of 2021. The new bonded Jack Daniel's bonded product I really like, and I'll probably do a review of that as well. And I may even do a comparison video of the bonded with the barrel select, the single barrel select. So in general, I'm a fan of Jack Daniel's. There are some products of Jack Daniel's that I don't like. I'm not a fan of Gentleman Jack. But be that as it may, I'm overall a fan of their product and the overall flavor profile of Jack Daniel's whiskey. So with that said, let's get into this a little bit. Get a little nosing here. I love the smell of Jack Daniel's. You get that sweet toasty oak. I get vanilla, but you still get that warm banana bread smell that is, you can't mistake it. It's Jack Daniel's. It has a very, very strong banana note, which I just love. It smells like warm banana bread with a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel, and a little bit of toasty oak. I also get a little bit of nuttiness on it, almost like a Cracker Jack. Like if you smelled a box of Cracker Jacks, the peanut, the caramel, the popcorn. So I kind of get a little bit of a Cracker Jack kind of thing going on. Let's get into the taste a little bit. So when you taste this, it's unmistakably Jack Daniels. Um, except when you compare it to Old Number 7, it's less sweet. It is still a sweet whiskey, but it's not as sweet as the Old Number 7. But all those notes that you get on the nose translate to the palate. It's like warm banana bread, Cracker Jacks. I love it. The extra proof, I think, is key. Um, it has a very nice mouthfeel. I wouldn't call it really, really thick and syrupy, but it is thicker and heavier than Jack Daniel's Old Number 7. I think it's a more well balanced whiskey because of the higher proof level. Um, it's toning down the sweetness a little bit, and you get a little bit more depth of flavor. So in a lot of ways, it's like just an amped up Old Number 7. I actually recently had some Old Number 7 straight up at a bar a few months ago, and I was shocked. I actually enjoyed it. I know a lot of people think it's too sweet or it's too thin, but I actually enjoyed it. But again, I'm a fan of Jack Daniels, so um, that doesn't surprise me. I feel like this, if you find the Old Number 7, the proof point's too low, it's a little bit too thin for you on the mouth feel, or it's a little bit too sweet, the Single Barrel Select, I think, is an awesome option. I think it makes this a much more interesting whiskey. It balances it out more. So the question for me, and maybe for you, the only question then would be, is it worth the price? Um, the nice thing about it is it really hasn't gone up in price in several years. I think when this first hit the market, it was about $45 several years ago, and it's still anywhere between 45 and like $49. So it's not an excessively expensive whiskey, but the question is it worth it? Um, and that's a tough question. Me personally, because I'm a fan of the flavor profile of Jack Daniels, it is worth it to me. Um, it gives me an expression of Jack Daniels that I can really, really enjoy, sipping neat. So overall, I would rate it definitely a buy. I do also have the Jack Daniels Bonded, which I'm enjoying a lot as well. Maybe I'll do a comparison video of the two side by side and try to help you decide whether you should get the Bonded or the Single Barrel Select. The Bonded's about $35 or $34. This is more like 45 to 49. And if the Bonded is as good as this, maybe the Bonded is the better buy. The Bonded actually is the higher proof. It's 100 proof, obviously. This is 94, so the Bonded, may be actually the better value. We'll have to check that out with a side-by-side tasting. But for now, I'll leave you with those comments. For me, as a Jack Daniels fan, and I enjoy the flavor profile, this is a buy for me. The Single Barrel Select, 45 to 49 bucks. It's a buy for me. Hope that helps you on your bourbon whiskey journey, and take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye.